I'm suggesting you start by doing no harm, and to violate the rules that I just described would do real harm. I think there could be a bipartisan consensus to do it in the right way. You look back at 1986, it was a bipartisan bill because it worked in the broad middle of sensible policy. It was deficit neutral. It paid for it. One thing I know is in 1986, the way the showdown in Gucci Gulf ended up as a win for the good guys is everybody stayed together. There are going to be a lot of interest against closing those loopholes, and there'll be a lot of pressure to just do it by adding to the deficit.
You know this community in D.C. now very well. You know where the fault lines are. There's a report out in Axios today, to me somewhat surprising, that the Freedom Caucus wants a 16% rate, and that they're willing to stretch out whatever you think revenue neutrality would be for 20 years.
Yeah, I saw that report this morning, and look, consistency is not always a virtue, one of the characteristics you see in politics. It's highly inconsistent to worry about the deficit and to support something that would create a huge new deficit driver.
Are there enough Democrats that you think? I mean, you see Heidi Heitkamp. What do you take away from Heidi Heitkamp?
Look, I hope that the Democrats. I think the Democrats, the principles that I described, I think reflect where most Democrats are. Obviously, in a Senate that where you can only afford to lose 2 Republican votes on a majority.
What's the lowest number you could get to? I know 28 was where you used to be. Could you get into the mid-20s?
Look, I thought
mid-low 20s.
I thought you'd get to 28 with the kinds of loophole closing that we could, as a realistic matter, accomplish. So I think getting lower than that, you're either going to be having to do things that just take on bigger and bigger political and special interest fights, or you're going to be adding to the deficit. So it's really hard. I think raising expectations that the rate will go to 20 or 15, that is only possible if you're willing to do it by cheating on the numbers and adding to the deficit.
But do you think, putting the cheating on the numbers aside, don't you think that there's a willingness among some to at least add to the deficit in the short term?
I think that there certainly is a lot of discussion of using the kinds of technical approaches, scoring rules, that would have that effect. Whether people are willing to stand up and say it, the Freedom Caucus comments obviously cross that line. I think that's hard. I think there's a difference between doing it a little bit and doing it a lot. Let's remember what these tax cuts could cost. If you do everything that people have proposed, you could be talking about $4 or $5 trillion of revenue loss. Is a huge number, even in a big economy. We have seen what a burden that becomes if you do it. And the time to put a yellow light up is before, not after.
Joseph?
No. Yeah, we did. We saw what a burden 10 trillion was. Just wish we had gotten some dynamic growth from the 10 trillion that we spent during the Obama administration. I don't want to get into any of this, but at least I'm ready to try it. I'm ready to try it to give it a shot. I'm ready to try it to give growth. To say that it's just cheating on the numbers ignores the possibility that there is something to dynamic scoring.
Well, we've tried it. We tried it in 1981. We tried it in 2001.
I remember 1981. I remember 7% growth in a couple of quarters.
Do you remember the deficits that came from it?
I remember the deficits, but as we defeated the Cold War and defeated Russia, and I'll go back to the 80s if you want for growth, and I'll deal with the deficit. What do we get for the 10 trillion?
If you create deficits like that today, your choices to close the deficit will be raising taxes or cutting things like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food assistance, things that would hurt our people in our country.
3% growth solves a lot of problems.
I don't think you get to 3 or 3.5.
But other people think we can.
But mainstream economics does not tell you that. It is only outlier theories that have been proven wrong.
We could have a special and argue for the next 3 weeks on whether dynamic scoring can get to 3%. There's a lot of people I respect think we can get to 3%.
But there's no evidence to support it from past experience. So this is hope in the face of experience that tells you otherwise. That is not a smart way to go.
Let me turn the conversation.
I disagree with that. I don't think experience tells me we can't get.
I can only tell you the facts about the past.
The Obama administration, the only administration that never had 3% for a year.
Joe, let's go back to the beginning of the Obama administration when we were losing 700,000 jobs a month, and we stopped the slide and we came to a recovery.
Every other deep recession, we've had a huge bounce. We had no recovery from that recession.
Than the rest of the developed world. We responded
in the right way. The weakest recovery from a recession in history.
I think we had the deepest financial recession in my lifetime. We came out of it. It was a slow recovery. There's no doubt about it. But you look at the recovery of the United States, healthier than Europe, for sure. We're just now seeing Europe get back.
Hey, Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.